Hello buddy, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I want to be talking about the $2 million Saudi LAN day number 1 and what you might have missed if you didn't watch the entire tournament, or even if you did, you might want a little refresher going into day number 2 because there's so much money at stake overall into this tournament. So let's get into it. I want to apologize though in advance for my camera. I'm in the process of getting a new one. Unfortunately, I have to send back my camera from the FNCS broadcast since I'm no longer a part of it. So we're going to be dealing with this for now in 360p. Sort of. Start off at the top of the leaderboard, let's talk about the players. Now, first place coming in hot as a surprising duo to some of you guys that might not know them, but for those of you that have been following a little bit of the qualifiers and the Noble tournaments alike, Steno and Lush coming in hot with 2 wins going into day number 1, ending day number 1 on 208 points in total. Now, they were a controversial duo, I believe, for all of the pro players, but they came in with one of the most consistent strategies into the tournament and fully abusing the way that no build is currently being played. Essentially, they land towards the north side of the map near the vault, and there is truck spawns nearby, and essentially what they do is they carry out blow torches and they carry a truck. They even carry multiple blow torches in some instances, and with that they just drive around, hide, use those blow torches to repair their truck, and from there they farm absolute insane placement every single game. Now, what does that mean for their placement? Now, they ended day number 1 with an average placement of 3.67. And they did not place once below the top 5 except for one game in game number 5, which is absolutely ridiculous. Before that, they placed 3rd, 1st, 4th, and then that 10th place, and then another 1st place to end the day. So absolutely ridiculous placement coming through from those guys, and I'm sure we'll see a bunch of different people try to adapt to that playstyle. We even saw that in game number 5. Game number 5 was absolutely insanely stacked. There was 40 people moving in no build, and there was a bunch of people just driving around in trucks and stuff. So people are definitely VOD reviewing, they're taking note of the playstyle, and they're going to try to adapt. But you know, it's very deserved for these guys. They only coming in with 9k earnings, I think, each. So this prize pool of 125k per person would be ridiculous if they win it, and it would be very much deserved because they have prepared a lot for it. Coming into second place, EpikWhale and Malibuca with 174 points. They came in very, very strong as well, and they had the highest average eliminations in the entire tournament, coming at 5.33. They had an insane total amount of eliminations as well, racking up a total of 32 kills over the 6-game period, which is by far the most by everyone. The average placement was struggling, but they caught up in kills, and that gives me a good feeling coming into the build tournament for these guys. So they're both fundamentally strong players, both of them respectively one of the best players in the region, and then coming in and placing very highly. It might be because it's no build, but I feel like you're gonna have to have a decent understanding of the game, and the natural skill and playstyle coming in as well is very, very important. So this is a very good news coming into that tournament. It makes me excited maybe for a potential collab in the future if EpikWhale decides to move to Europe, which he might if he wants to be winning some more money rather than in NA West, but we shall see. Maybe I'm overhyping it just a little bit. And Pinq coming into 3rd place, had a very good start, won game number 1 with a nice little northern zone. They're also one of the favorites coming in, I believe, in terms of preparation. Even in the build duels, they're also one of the favorites to win overall, but unfortunately, towards the later parts of the tournament, they struggled a little bit with the different types of zones and ended up with 146 points in total. Alex and Scram in 4th place with 146 points as well, alongside Akon and Edgy, the first NA East team now finally showing up in the top 5 with 146 points in total as well. For reference, there are only 3 NA East teams in the top 10 and 1 mixed team of EpikWhale of Malibuca. Everyone else is from the European region. No Middle Eastern teams, no Asian teams, and no other NA West duos combined either in this top 10. So we're seeing EU coming in a little bit strong. Definitely with expectation though, we all thought that EU was going to be the strongest region. It is no build though, so we can't really say much, but the top of the leaderboard are all some of the professionals that we expected to basically win this tournament overall as well. So it's coming in with a very good start for the Europeans. Coming into 5th place, like I said, Akon and Edgy with 146 points, and then Bad Sniper and Mustache a little bit below Malibuca. Mustache with Bad Sniper, but doing pretty well. I did not expect this duo to do that well overall. From Tilted Towers as well, contested by another team of Akon and Edgy, right? both of them within the top 10, so pretty surprising to me. Okus and Nut from that Reality Falls side in 8th place as well, doing pretty well with 137 points, and Cameron Sadie in 7th place with 139. So all those top players are in that top 10, so there has to be some sort of skill with the no build tournament, I feel like. And then in 9th, Kovacs and Vevscott, and 10th, Mako and Threads, who were contested by another duo the entire tournament. So impressive to see them within the top 10. And taking a look at the placements, I don't think they lost a single spawn fight overall. They survived our spawn every single time. No placement below top 30. So essentially, they were dominating in the draw spot. So that maybe gives them some confidence going into the build tournament as well, giving themselves some free surge possibly. Who knows? Now, some of the people that were a little bit disappointed coming to the tournament, Thomas HD and Tayson, 16th place. They had a very, very strong start. They were top 2 the entire tournament until the last 3 games, where they sort of fell off in these sort of games, and they ended up with 110 points in 16th. Siani and Chapik similarly 110 points in 15th place. Scrolling down on the leaderboard, Hen and Queasy, who are right below them on 83 points in 24th place. So Hen and Queasy struggling a lot with the new format. I don't know what that means for the build tournament, but maybe the chemistry is lacking after leaving each other for so long. Who knows? Janice and Canada, 76 points with uncontested. Greasy also struggling with the new format, and overall with maybe the rotations, because all of the zones sort of felt like they pulled in the middle of Camera Split north side, so maybe they're struggling with the zones. Hopefully we see them come back and bounce back in day number 2. Not on Korea with 69 points, 32nd place. Pretty decent performance for them. I don't think anyone had many expectations for them coming in. Aqua and Veno in 34th place. Now this one is one of the biggest upsets I feel like coming into the tournament. A lot of people thought they were going to defend the title of the FNCS win going into this tournament, but unfortunately 34th place after day number 1. Obviously it's not the main game mode, so Aqua and Veno, I feel like they're still going to do very well in the build tournament, but there's a bit of a struggle here as well. We saw Veno on Twitter not being too happy, showing emotions. Hopefully he brings it back, is able to VOD view and come back strong for day number 2 with a little comeback. Clicks and Jukes, 37th place. Not too much expected, but you know, 37th place is underperforming overall. And in last place, unfortunately, is Arkham and Falconer. They were contested by Vico and Jelty, who did end up winning a game in one of these games. But unfortunately for Arkham and Falconer, they basically just got deleted off spawn every single game. They had 0 points going into game number 5. Finally got themselves some 2 points in game number 5 by getting 1 kill. And then they died off spawn again. And then game number 6, they finally had a decent game where they got a 13th place with no kills and ending up with 11 points overall. So definitely unexpected that they were losing on spawn. They obviously haven't been playing as much Fortnite recently, but we do expect players of those calibers to do a little bit better, especially when they're contested by a random duo of Jelty and Vico. Now the second thing I want to talk about is the competitiveness of no build and what we basically saw in this tournament. Now the issue that I have with this tournament overall are 2 main things. First of all, it's being played in the pubs format, which essentially means that we have tents being used and the saplings, the seeds being planted by players. And essentially we're seeing a lot of players that aren't prepared for this tournament, those of which that don't play pub, those of which that don't play no builds, basically struggle because they don't have those inherent advantages of spawn. Essentially, you can put porta forts in your tent, you can put mythical weapons in your tent, your saplings, you can get yourself mythical weapons from your saplings as well, and that's going to be very, very overpowered. To get into the game, essentially with a stacked out loadout to start is an insane advantage, and definitely not as competitive as you would like it to be. Unfortunately, I don't think there's the capability of running the no build tournament in the trio arena game mode. I believe you have to fill in that extra player, so maybe it doesn't work in the custom format, but definitely a lost opportunity, I feel like, for what would be in a decently competitive tournament. In the late games, we saw a bunch of chaos, everyone rifted going, everyone driving cars around. It wasn't the most skillful gameplay that we've ever seen, but it was highly, highly entertaining from my perspective as a viewing party here on Twitch. You basically see everyone just jumping around. It was chaos. It was a little bit ridiculous, but it was a lot of fun overall to watch. But it does beg the question about the competitiveness of this format and whether or not it deserves to be a game mode for the FNCS, for example, which is something that we've been a little bit scared of as the competitive community. Overall though, the LAN itself was a very big success in my opinion. We saw a bunch of really cool behind the scenes footage of gameplay. We saw a bunch of people getting interviews, saw fresh faces. I love the actual LAN event. It was insanely good to watch. It really gave you that nostalgia of the World Cup of previous times as well. It really felt like we teleported back towards 2019, back to New York, having that crowd, having those players together, seeing their faces, seeing the reactions of the wins. We saw a few reactions from parents, like Anas's dad after they won the first game was freaking out as well, which is very cool to see. You know, those are the things that we live for as competitive, and also as people that were watching and loving this esport. This is the stuff that we live and breathe for. So I was very entertained by the tournament itself. The LAN itself, in terms of production though, there were some issues that I had. Unfortunately, every single game was 45 minutes in between it, so it took a very long time for all of the 6 games to play. I believe we started the tournament at 6 p.m. Amsterdam time, and the last final game finished at 10:45 p.m. So it took around 4 hours and 45 minutes, almost 5 hours to complete 6 games in total, with a 45-minute break in between as well. By all means, have the break. I think that's okay if you have a production, you're gonna have an analyst desk and everything else, but fill in that time with interviews with the players, because we're at a LAN event, right? We want to make it feel like there's a LAN event. I felt like there was a lack of interviews with the players. We had 2 interviews at the start with Arab and Bloomy, and then another Middle Eastern duo, Spyfrog. And then after that, we only had interviews with the game winners and no actual interviews with any of the bigger pros or the pros coming in, which would have been great to see. There's so much dead air in the tournament that would be great to fill that in with some of the interviews. And there's also a bunch of content that was filmed. The media day had a bunch of people with videos talking to each other. We had interviews coming in, and that would have been very interesting content to watch in those breaks when we're waiting for 25 minutes between each game. But unfortunately, some missed opportunities there. Alongside that, we're missing, you know, stuff like face cam footage during the players. We saw some of the face cam on the bottom left of the screen of the main stream. You basically saw a roaming shot of players. We saw POV footage of players from behind, for example. We saw faces, we saw a big drone camera on top, which is really cool, right? It really gives you that essence that we're in the LAN. But you know, we would love to see that synced up with the gameplay, seeing that player's face in the moment when they're winning a game, for example, or when something else happens. We did see reaction shots of when they did win a game, which was great. We saw those reactions, sick, but we want to see that in the mid game as well, because essentially if you're looking at the gameplay just blank, and there were moments where there were no cameras at all, it didn't feel like there was an actual LAN going on, because you didn't hear the crowd, you didn't see the players' faces or cameras. So a bit of a missed opportunity, unfortunately, but it's a good start for the first LAN that I feel like is coming back of a major capacity. Overall, the LAN itself was amazing. No real drama has come out yet, which is a good thing. Obviously, the production, the tournament itself was all gone out without a hitch, so that is a very good sign coming into the more competitive tournament on Saturday. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to follow the action of the Saudi LAN, to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/CoachBoop. We're going to be viewing probably the entire tournament every single day from 5 p.m. Amsterdam time until the end, with predictions, previews, and everything else. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you guys subscribe and like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.